Hey guys, Personal Defense, and I'm here with my used to be lightweight AR-15, which is now a very hooked up AR-15. And my wife likes to go shooting with us sometimes, and when she does, she's always reaching for the AR. And because of that, she told me she wants to have one of her own. So I figured since she wants to own one, she might as well learn about the basics of the weapon and how it functions. So this video is going to be kind of a introduction to AR-15s and also a little overview of assault rifles in general. Alright, so first things first, let's do a safety check. And I believe this weapon is loaded. But there's nothing in the chamber. So, number one, Elena, do you know what this weapon is chambered in?
No.
Okay, so typically AR-15s are chambered in 5.56 millimeter. Also, you can shoot 223. Sometimes they're only chambered in 223, and that's not really one that you want to buy. You want to buy one that's chambered in 5.56 because that can also shoot 223. It's like shooting two different ammo. The one that's chambered in 223 can only shoot 223. It can't shoot 5.56. The 5.56 is the NATO standardized caliber, so in the event of whatever, shit hitting the fan or whatever, you're going to be able to find that caliber on like military bases or whatever, rather than 223. So it's always better to buy a weapon chambered in 5.56. Number one, this thing is a 16-inch barrel. You can get these in any barrel length, but I think 16-inch is the most common length, and this one is what's called a pencil barrel or a lightweight profile barrel. It's just basically a thinner barrel, and it's like that to keep the weight off because I made it lightweight. It also has a polymer lower. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask, is the longer the barrel, the more accurate then?
Supposedly the longer the barrel, the more accurate your rifle will be. And so I guess we should talk a little bit about how this weapon actually functions and works. Do you have any idea about how it works?
I don't know. Does it have a firing pin?
It has a firing pin.
Okay.
This rifle is a gas-operated, semi-automatic rifle. Mm-hmm. It's what's called a direct gas impingement. I think they call it direct impingement rifle, as opposed to something like an AK or an SKS, which is a gas piston. And what that means is the actual gas from the bullet that's fired is what cycles the bolt back. And like an AK or a SKS, the gas pushes a piston, and the piston is what cycles the AK back. That's why they're always saying an AK is a lot more reliable than an AR, because the piston system, it can run with anything. Like if you get a little dirt in it, or it can get wet or whatever. This gas tube, it's a tiny little tube, and if there's anything in it, it could cause all kinds of problems. And you can actually buy piston-driven ARs, but
So you have to clean it more often then?
that's what they say. I haven't cleaned it. I think every like 5,000 rounds, you're supposed to clean that gas tube. And I'll take off the handguard here in a second. We can look at the gas tube. So here's the way it works. So here's the muzzle break or flash hider. Here's the barrel, obviously. This is the upper receiver. This is the lower receiver. And this is the bolt. This is the charging handle. So you know about that. When you put the magazine in, you pull the charging handle back to chamber around, right? So when you actually fire this, it hits the firing pin that you mentioned, and the bullet goes flying out the barrel. There's a little hole right up here that's connected to a little tiny gas cube, which goes back to here. So when you fire the bullet, it ignites. The gunpowder ignites, forcing the bullet out of the barrel. All that ignited gas and everything that's behind it will also go up out of that little hole that's drilled into the barrel and into the tube. That pushes all this hot gas back into the tube, which goes directly to the bolt. That's why they call it a direct impingement. Mm-hmm. So the gas is coming back. This is after you fire it. The gas is coming back through the tube, hits the bolt, which forces the bolt back, like this.
So just the gas itself hits that piece up inside there,
Mm-hmm.
and pushes it back up?
Right.
Wow.
I'll take this off and show you.
How much PSI is that?
I've heard it's like 20,000, 50,000 PSI. It's a lot of freaking pressure.
Because I know it's hard to pull those things back, so.
So the gas hits the bolt, forcing it back like that. When it goes back, that actually ejects the spent casing, mm-hmm. and when it comes back forward, it'll pick up a new round and chamber it. That's the basic function of it. What stops the bolt, or what keeps the bolt from going back and everything is here, I'll show you. We'll separate the upper from the lower here. Can you hold that right there? Yeah, just that. Just set it down right there. This right here, mm-hmm. This is called the buffer.
Yeah.
And this is called the buffer tube. And I'm sure you've heard it before, that noise.
Yeah.
The bolt is resting against this. When the gas pushes it, this goes back. So that spring right there is what forces the bolt back, chambering around. This right here, this is what's called the striker. That right there, when you pull the trigger, the striker comes up and hits the firing pin. That's what actually shoots it. Okay. And then when the bolt comes back, it resets it like that. Then you pull the trigger again, the striker hits it again. That's pretty much it for the lower there. I mean, this stuff is really simple. Oop. There's the bottom of the bolt. We'll take it apart here in a second. Alright, so here I took the upper receiver off. This is what we're looking at here. And let's just go ahead and take the bolt out. So this is the charging handle, which you've seen before. And this is the actual bolt carrier. This is what gets, see that tube right there? In the front?
Yeah.
This right here?
Mm-hmm.
That's where the gas actually hits it and forces it back. Oh, so the tube fits on it. They kind of make a seal. This right here is what actually chambers the bullet, or chambers the round. And all these grooves here, the barrel has these grooves too, and when it chambers it, it goes in like that and locks in place. That's how it's able to handle the pressure when it fires. All these grooves right here on the bolt, mm-hmm. The upper receiver has what's called a forward assist. And if your round doesn't chamber or the bolt doesn't chamber completely, you can smack that forward assist a couple times and it grabs these grooves and forces it into place.
Is that normal though?
I
Does it
mean,
happen often?
You don't want
to do that often?
You shouldn't have to hit it at all, but sometimes you get a jam, or sometimes who knows. You were asking earlier, here's the firing pin inside right there. Mm-hmm. So you can see, there's how much it sticks out. Can you see it?
Yeah.
And then the striker hits it, and there you can see it sticking out.
Yeah.
The tip there. That's what fires it. This whole bolt carrier assembly here comes apart, and you're supposed to clean that every time you field strip it and clean it. Charging handle doesn't do much but pull the thing back. Mm-hmm. It has a groove in there. You see the hole?
Yeah.
The tube actually is in there.
The gas one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, you pull it back, and that's all the charging handle does. It's just a piece of metal. Doesn't do much. Here, the upper receiver has here's that forward assist I was telling you about. Mm-hmm. So, if it won't chamber for whatever reason, you just smack it a couple times and it'll force the bolt into the chamber. This is the dust cover. Some people think this is very important to have. You close it when you're not using it or whatever. It keeps dust out of the bolt carrier. These ARs are very, very like.
Can you have it open though, or do you have to have it open when you're shooting it?
It stays open when you shoot it.
Oh. Okay.
See this right here, this
yeah.
bulge? Well, the bolt carrier has this divot out of it right there. See that?
Yeah.
That fits into there. But when it goes back or goes forward, it'll pop it open.
Pop it open.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it pops itself open.
Okay.
But you're supposed to have it
shut unless if you close it.
Yeah, you're supposed to have it closed to keep stuff out of it. Normally, these uppers like this don't have this type of rail. This is something that I put on special, and to do this I had to have a low profile gas block.
Does it make it more lightweight, right?
Actually, it makes it heavier, but
to have the holes out of it?
No, just to have this thing because it's so big. I mean, normally you have pieces of plastic.
That's kind of why I want a shorter one on mine. I figured it would make it lighter.
Here's what you normally have. You know, these hand guards.
Yeah.
And they normally go to there. And then I also had that gas block. I don't know where it went. Here it is. This is the old gas block right here. It used to sit right there.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and loosened this rail off, so we can take it off and look at the gas system. So here's what you're looking at here is the barrel. And like I said, this is the lightweight profile barrel. It's real thin compared to a normal barrel. Supposedly, the thinner the barrel you have, the less accurate it is. So, but it's lighter. So you kind of give and take there in that sense.
Wait, the thinner in diameter, or what do you mean the thinner, like?
So the inner hole of the barrel, the bore, it's always the same size, right? Because it's chambered in that. Some barrels are thicker.
Oh, okay.
The area from the bore to the outside.
Okay, that's what you meant.
Supposedly, the thicker the barrel, the more accurate it's going to be, because it's less affected by bending or whatever, right?
Yeah.
This is a thinner one, so supposedly it's not as accurate. Exactly. So supposedly the thinner ones aren't as accurate,
Okay.
especially if they heat up when you get it real hot. You know, expansion and all that crap.
Yeah.
This rail that I have though is what's called a free floating rail. It doesn't touch any part of the barrel, so supposedly that keeps it more accurate. I don't know how true that is. I don't really have any problems with the accuracy of this. Here's what I was talking about. This is what's called a gas block.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, there's nothing in it but a couple holes. So the barrel underneath this right here has a hole on the top, just a little tiny hole.
Mm-hmm.
This gas block has, you know, like a channel in here and then the hole down. So it catches that hole, and this gas tube goes into the hole, and it's held in with this pin right here. So like I was saying, when the bullet comes out, all those hot gases go up here and go through this tube back,
Hit the back of the.
and that's where it connects to this up at the top there,
Yeah.
this little tube, and that's what forces it back.
Mm-hmm.
The spring on the lower, let me see that lower. The spring in the buffer tube on the lower provides resistance. Okay, it goes back in there, you know, like that. Then it comes back forward and chambers around and all that. Depending on what type of AR you get or how you build it, you might have an adjustable stock, like this one. This is a 6 position. Some of them are made fixed. Some of them have a 4 position. This one just happens to be a 6 position. This isn't like a regular factory stock. This is a Magpul stock. I have a lot of Magpul stuff on here. For example, the flip up sights. This upper receiver is what's called a flat top, meaning there's no handle or sight or anything. It's just a straight up rail on the top, allowing you to mount whatever the hell you want to it. And my Troy battle rail is just a rail on the top too, meaning you can mount whatever you want to it. And it also has some rail sections you can put on any spot in this rail. And I have a flashlight mounted to mine. I think a flashlight is important in one of these types of rifles. Another thing we can talk about is the muzzle brake. Some people call it the compensator. Some people call it a flash hider, flash suppressor. This isn't a factory one, or a regular type one. This is a Troy, and it's called the medieval muzzle brake. It has a bunch of spikes in the front there, which is kind of like a, if you wanted to like breach a door or break a window or whatever, you could smack it with the front of this. Also, it has these holes cut out on the side here. That helps dissipate the flash coming out of the barrel. Also, depending on how they've engineered those holes, it also helps with recoil. This one is more of a flash suppressor than a muzzle brake is what the term they use for like a recoil reducing one. I have a red dot on here, which is actually a holographic red dot, meaning you can turn it in any direction and the dot will actually move around in the glass, as opposed to like a normal red dot where it would just stay stationary and you'd have to move your head to see where it is. There you can see it. See when you move the weapon around, it moves around. And this one you can actually change from red to green. The way you use these is you're supposed to have both eyes open and you look downrange, and wherever the dot is, that's where the bullet's going to go. This right here we didn't talk about, but this is the bolt release, and I have what's called a battery assist device, and all it does is basically move the bolt release to this side to where your trigger finger is. So you have your mag release right here at your finger, and you have your bolt release right here at your finger, instead of having to flip over and hit it right here. It just makes things quicker. This right here is the shell deflector. If you didn't have the shell deflector, sometimes the shells get yanked out of there and they just go straight back and maybe hit you.
I was going to ask you, that's where all the...
Yeah, you can see where you can see where they've actually hit right there. And that's what it does. They come back, hit that, and go off. So it just keeps the hot casings off of you.
So the first one ever made didn't have that then?
It didn't. It didn't have this, and it didn't have this.
That quickly.
Yeah, I mean that's just what is it?
That on there.
Necessity is the mother of invention, or whatever. It's one of those things. It's important if you're going to have one. It's really important that you know how it functions and what to look at and what to look for.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have a video on how to break it down and clean it?
No, I should make one though.
Yeah, just like...
Alright, so that was a real quick basic overview of the form and function of your typical AR-15. This one just has a few special things, but it has a few special features to it, but in general this is how they all function and how they all look. Any other questions?
No.
Alright, well, I hope you enjoy your new AR-15, and thanks everyone for watching.